Campers George here in the South 40 man cave. Just doing some yard work, just putting everything away, and saw these that I put in here the other day. If you remember on my last video, Leigh Hunter invited me over to come and do some bushcraft things, and part of that was splitting a log. And he had cut down a walnut tree for a neighbor that wanted to get rid of it, brought the log over, called me and said, let's bushcraft. So we went over there, we made a huge giant mallet, that guy there, this guy, and used it to split the log. Then he said to me, there you go, now you've got some wood. Know how you like to make walking sticks and stuff, and this is good wood to do it. And he was right. Beautiful wood. You got that brown center to it and the white outside, which gave me an idea that I want to try. So what I'm doing right now is looking at each piece and trying to decide which one I want to use for my next project. That project, I'm hoping, is going to be a walking stick, not my usual big stick, but a true walking stick. Very plain, straightforward, round, maybe with a knob on the top or something like that, and keep it simple. And what I'm hoping to do, and if you have a look at the wood here, you can see what I'm talking about. Here is the inner dark wood, and then you have the outer lighter colored wood. What I'm hoping to do is to use one of these. I'm just trying to decide which is the best one. I'm looking for very little waves or anything in the colors. Cutting it down into a circle where half of the walking stick will be the light colored wood, the other half the dark colored. That's what I want to do. Can I do it? Well, we're going to find out. I have to tell you, it's a long-term project. When we split this log, it was very wet, and before I really get down to it, I need it to dry out, as it will split. And if you watched the last video, we ended up putting wax on the ends, a wax coating on the ends to stop the wood from drying too quickly on the ends and splitting. Leigh says, it works most times, 9 times out of 10, you will stop it from splitting badly. What I want to do, and Leigh said this would work, he actually came up with the idea. Trim down one, the one you're going to use, trim it down to maybe a square or an octagon, a little bit bigger than the walking stick you're going to make. That'll help it dry quicker. I don't have the patience. What can I say? Trimming it down closer to the size I want, hopefully, and leave it in here and it'll dry quicker. Like I said, the problem I have is deciding which piece to use. Not all the splits are the same size. Okay, some are thinner than the others, and that obviously is, if I want to use both colors of wood, is going to be a problem if it's too thin. The other is the curve of the wood. You can see it's not perfect. It does go in and out. That's not a big deal as long as I can get most of the stick to be a dual color. On which piece I'm going to use, I'm going to start trimming it down. And how am I going to do that? Well, I think I'm going to use my bush law and a small mallet. Obviously not this guy, too big. I do have a smaller one. I'm going to see if that works. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to make another one. I do have some wood in the back that might work for me. We can trim it down using the bush law and get to where we want to, so we can let it sit and dry. And when it's ready, really get down to carving it and getting it nice and round and everything like that. So it will be a long-term project. This is the first of it. And that's what I'm going to do now, and then when it's dry, we'll carry on with getting the project completed. Have some patience with me here, and we'll start making us a walking stick out of this. Well, maybe this one. Let's see. So as you can see, I've got 4 pieces here. These 2 in the middle are really pretty wide, and there would really be no problem getting the size of the stick that I want, the diameter. The problem I have is it's really wavy. You can see down here, and that might be a problem, especially when I'm trying to trim it. Like this guy are a lot thinner. You can see here how much thinner it is. So what I need to decide on is how thick do I want that walking stick? Do I have enough area here to make it with? How thick do I want that walking stick? But maybe a little bit bigger than this as a walking stick. One of the reasons is I want the walking stick to be reasonably light. This is heavy wood, so that's something else I have to take into account. And of course, by doing that, I can use a thinner piece. And looking at this guy, this line here is pretty straight. How long do I want the walking stick? I'm going to say that long to the bottom, which is about 4 foot. I don't really want it longer than that because I'm going to have a knob on the top, and that's where you hold, and that's typically around here. What I'm going to do is strip the whole log, just cut off here because it splits up top and at both ends. So I'll probably have to cut it in the middle, but that's why I'm going to strip the whole log, because it will split from the ends. The more I think about it, the more issues I'm coming up with. This is the other thin one. And as you can see right away, we've got that bend. And it's right in the middle, unfortunately. This one out of the question for what I want to do. It'll still make a walking stick though. The other ones, these heavy ones, the plan is if I have enough light wood and dark wood, I can make 2 sticks out of them. One dark, one light. We'll see. It looks like we have a winner here, and it's going to be this guy. And what I'm going to have to do is make that circle here, how big I want that walking stick, and just trim this all the way down to the bottom, the whole stick. I'm going to have to get started on that right now. Stay with me. So trying to decide how thick I want the stick to be, try to find something that is pretty close to what I'm looking for, but a little bigger. And surprisingly, a roll of electrical tape. This inside diameter here is about right for what I'm looking for. Maybe even a little bit smaller than this. And when I put it on here, the end of the log, let's see if I can show you this. There is the line between the dark and the light. If I put this here, it looks pretty good. It's right dead center. I don't know if you can see that. It's this as my minimum. I'm gonna split all this off. Either split it or carve it off. Reduce this down to that. Hopefully you can see the marks there. I'm going to use this as a guide for me so that I don't trim it crooked. I want to give myself a dead straight trim down line to where I'm a little bit bigger than I need to be. So now I have a pretty good straight line, and so far I'm missing all the nastiness, the curves in the wood. This over here might be a problem, but we're towards the top, and that's where it's going to split. So if it splits here, it's not a big deal. We can always cut down here, and I'm still going to get my 4 foot. Now let's see if we can do the same thing with the white side. Here you can see that I'm going to land up trimming this piece off, this piece off, sorry, this piece, and then that piece, which will give me all this extra outside. Hopefully that makes sense. So, gonna start trimming it down, and let's see how that goes. You have to figure out the best way to do it. I think I might just start with bludgeoning with the bush law to get the majority of it off, and then going by hand to get a little bit closer. I just don't want to bludgeon and it splits wrong. I went and got my bush law and my little bushcraft mallet that I made quite a while back. I don't think it's going to work. It's this guy here, and I don't think he's heavy enough to allow me to cut through this. We'll see. We'll give it a try and see how we go. If it doesn't, just going to have to make one a little bigger. Yeah, just bounces right off. Oh. Now we're coming to that problem where I was talking about that curve in the wood, and I can see a problem right now where I'm going to have to be really careful with this. Let me show you. Here's the knife here, and we're coming to this curl, and right off the bat here you see what I'm talking about, where it split the wood here. It's not straight. It doesn't cut straight through. This wood is hard enough where the fibers are controlling where the knife is going. Almost makes me wonder if I'm going to have to actually use a saw to cut this, and all I have is a handsaw. Let's go and see what happens. See that? It's starting to split following that curve. My line is right there and it's already gone past it. Just going to tap it one more time to see if it cuts through here, or does it follow that? Yeah, it's splitting. It's right on the line. Plus my knife is starting to curve in. That's a problem. So it looks like we're going to have to use a saw. Although the line is bigger than I'm going to be needing, it's still way too close for me, which makes me a little nervous. So you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. But I have to be really careful with this wood. These fibers are long and they're hard and they're bent. So if they're bending, they're going to tend to have the knife follow the fiber. We do have 4 pieces of wood. One of them's got to work. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I'll show you the end result. I'm not going to keep you here watching me tap away at this. Okay, I made that full length battening with the bush law, and I got to tell you, I was as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Every time I hit it, I was waiting for it to split wrong. Then I had an epiphany. Ooh, big word, George. That's what it means. I had to look it up. How about if I use the saw and cut all the way down so that when I'm battening, only small pieces come off at a time, and it'll stop the wood from getting away when I'm splitting it. If I cut these slots to the depth that I want, I can batten down there and only small pieces will break off at a time. You can see I did it here. That way I can control the way the wood is going to split. That's the plan. Let's give it a try right now and see what happens. Did you see that? It broke off right there. Even though it got away from me. Do this one, and this is where the wood starts to bend. It stops at the cut. Well, as I move on with this project, I think of something new or learn something new. I was using my bush law to trim the wood, and it was taking quite a while. I was getting frustrated, and then I thought there has to be a better tool to do this with. Still using my bucko to cut the slots, I remembered I had a camp axe, my hatchet, my marbles hatchet. What a difference this is making. It's a lot quicker, and I'm learning to use my axe a lot better, having better control on it and everything. 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm full of sayings today, aren't I? So, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back, in fact, right away, to show you where I've got to. Just saying. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there. Bye.